Guys, I was gone last week, as
Thank
you,
you. We know.
you may have
We wondered.
noticed.
We liked
I know
it. It was
we
great.
were so thankful. While I was away,
Mm-hmm.
I had one of the more, like, you know those moments in your life where it's just abrupt chaos? Like,
Yeah, it's Wednesday nights on twitch.tv/thecasual hour.
I mean, we're in it right now.
So last week I was at Disney World with my my wife and my son and my parents and my sister, and last Thursday I was at the shitty cafeteria at our resort, eating a sandwich, drinking my coffee.
Was it shaped like Mickey Mouse?
They did have Mickey Mouse shaped waffles.
Okay.
Not the point of the story though.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there talking to my dad, and I feel the rumbling. You know, you drink your coffee, you're like, okay.
Oh, you got a shit.
I had to take a shit.
Yeah.
And I don't need to get in. Anyway, so
I wish you wouldn't.
I grab my
they don't
coffee.
have bidets at Disney. We talked about this.
I grab my coffee,
Disney.
Misty's coffee, and Misty's food I'm taking back to the room for her. And it's a good 7-minute walk back to our room because it's a big resort. So I'm going as fast as I can while balancing 2 coffees and food on a tray.
3 technically if you count the shit in your stomach, but
yeah. I make it. I drive the elevator up. I walk into our room. I'm real proud of myself because I managed to hold it with one hand, unlock the door.
You didn't shit your pants. I'd be proud too.
I step inside. I stumble over something. Both cups of coffee spill all over my arms, the bed, the floor.
And I'm sure they were cold cups
and out
of coffee.
Your ass.
It was really hot coffee. But at this point, where it's like we've reached critical mass. Like this is a life or death situation at this point. And so I'm like,
turtle situation.
George is getting angry.
Missy's like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, I can't talk. I gotta go. And then I sprint to the bathroom. My sandals are wet. As soon as I hit that tile, wham! And I didn't even notice this bruise.
You got a new tattoo.
I did. I landed. I didn't even feel this. I fell.
You think this is slick back?
You were so numb with the coffee burns.
Listen. I was like, I really don't want to shit my pants. I need to get in the bathroom.
At this point, what else do you have to give?
Exactly. I did. The only way.
Did you hear a trombone go off after that?
The only way.
He heard a trombone, all right.
Yeah, like if I fell and somehow it caused me to shit myself.
Sure. Yeah.
That would have been the perfect ending to that story. But
God damn it, Johnny.
Well,
go back to Disney.
Dude, I have IBS. Okay,
it's a magical place.
It gets really intense sometimes, and I can't help it. And like, my anxiety kicked in. And anyway, I'm back.
Yeah,
I had a great time.
Bobby syndrome.
I did. I had a great time at Disney. I built a lightsaber.
That's one of the better ones.
Yep.
That's the fastest we've ever gotten an episode title, I think.
Yep. Well, I feel like we've probably been faster, but that's pretty good.
Well, anyway,
I'd like to say to everybody out there, welcome to episode 311.
Oh hell yeah!
The Casual Hour. Yeah, we made it.
God,
amber is the color of our energy.
Yes, it's episode 311.
I don't actually know anything about 311. I don't think I've ever listened to a 311 song.
That was it.
Definitely heard a 311 song.
Yeah,
maybe they have a. They used to anyway. They have
a Three Doors Down song.
3 Doors 11 down.
Yeah, 311 had a cruise that they would go on with
know
fans
about that.
every year.
I'm familiar with the March 11th cruise.
That is my wife's birthday. She's like, how lucky is she?
Perfect.
Hang on, I gotta put that on our calendar so you don't do anything dumb and forget about it. Give me a second. Hey, it's episode 311. Johnny's back. The last week we had Jiggy on the show. Thank you, Jiggy, for stopping by. Chase took us through the February preview. Tonight we've got a very big episode. We've got a lot of games to get through, some new, some old. We've also got a Nintendo Direct and quite a bit of news that happened. So buckle up. We're going to be getting into it. We're going to do more of an abridged version, I think, of the Direct. It's not going to be a one-for-one cover of
God,
that.
No.
It was a big one.
There was too much. And like I would say, like the first third of it, outside of like one, maybe 2 games, was relatively uneventful, and then it just went, did you want the games? Like, here are the fucking games, now shut up. And like, god damn,
we got the games.
They're like the Arby's of video games.
And nobody could tweet about it. It was fantastic. It was so great to just sit down and watch a Nintendo Direct and not have to hear everybody's pithy fucking comments about it, except for ours. We were texting each other, of course, but
I was working. All right,
Johnny and I were.
So let's get into tonight's episode. Chase, what you been playing?
I've been playing a few things. I've been gaming.
Is that a new thing that you do?
Yeah, I feel like before the Fire Emblem, you even mentioned like, man, you don't play video games anymore. I'm like, well, I do now. I'm back.
New year.
He's back with a
New year,
vengeance.
new me.
Bobby, why? I think you were the one to introduce me to One Bit Rush, or at least did you introduce me to a list that had One Bit Rush on it?
This was, I think, the itch list, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was the itch.io turn-based RPG list
ones, right?
or something like that. Yes. Well, they might not have all been free. This one's free. Anyway, I played a game called One Bit Rush. It's on itch. It's free. You should go check it out. It is a turn-based racing game, and it it looks like it plays on an original Game Boy. It's kind of stupid, and I kind of love it. It's great. You're
like a Grand
kind of
Prix one, right?
Yeah, you look like an F1 kind of car, and you basically kind of make a trajectory. So like, if you know those games where you have to like pull back a slingshot, like an Angry Birds kind of thing, and you're trying to figure out your angle of that, you're doing that, except you're not using gravity because now you're like going forward on a road, but you're still using that. Hey, I'm going to go at this velocity, and I can start turning at this angle, or I can start hitting the brake on the car, and you're just making these decisions every chunk of track, and it keeps your momentum from the previous chunk of track, so you have to build off of that. And also the track that they have for you to go around, there's only one track. Again, this is like a small, this feels more like a proof of concept thing than anything.
It seems like it could be a playdate game.
Yeah, totally. I totally could.
Ask,
God, if you could put this on the playdate with the crank to adjust
like
the
trajectory,
that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. Anyway, so the track also has no sides, so you just fall off the track, and that's really the biggest thing you have to worry about is making sure that you stay on the road itself, and so you just kind of make these adjustments. And you're getting timed for this, but it's only the in-game time. It's not the time it's taking you to make these decisions. So you could take the track very slowly and only go a very slow chunk at a time and make every turn very carefully, and you'll make it through a lap, but you just won't get a very good time for that. So you want to make your car go fast while also making sure that you are turning well enough or using the brakes correctly. It's just really cool. I thought it was really neat. My best time was 33 seconds 33.12 seconds. There you go. So
not bad.
See if you can beat my time, I guess. It's free. It's
really
on a browser.
cool.
You don't even have to download anything. You can play it inside your browser. So I'd suggest people do that. It's cool.
I don't want to say I was right, but I'm going to tell myself I was right, because when I sent you that list, I was like, if Chase plays any game on this list, it's going to be this one. And I'm right.
Yeah.
It's a cool game. It looks cool. I haven't played it. I've watched some stuff on it. It looks neat.
It's also the most easily accessible game on that list. The other ones look like, oh God, this is going to be a thing I have to learn and do and play multiple levels of. This one, you just kind of go in and play. But yeah, even still, I think it was a neat idea, and I had a good time playing it. It's not. I mean, you're not going to put more than 20 minutes into it, but it's a fun 10-15 minutes of gaming.
That's also a cool link. I'll try and throw that. I'll remember to put that in our show notes, because there's some cool stuff on there from that itch turn-based list. It's neat.
Yeah, it was cool. Boys, I came here tonight wanting to talk to you about Triumph. The triumph of me getting to say no, unfortunately not. Okay. I came here to say I beat Fire Emblem Engage, and I don't have to play that game anymore. And I was fully ready to do that until about 6 hours ago.
Okay.
And Nintendo said, "Did you think you were done? Well, fuck you. You're not done. Here's more fucking content for that, and it's out today." So we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to the Nintendo Direct stuff. But they added in some new content for Fire Emblem.
Is it part of the DLC, or is it just by itself?
It's part of the DLC.
So you have to buy that to get this stuff, right?
Some of both, yeah. Like there are some additions that were added just for the main game, but then there's more in the expansion pass. Yes, this is Wave 2 of the expansion pass came out today. And they showed off what the other way. It is quick. It's quick. And they added 3 new emblem bracelets. So not the quote unquote rings exactly, but they function the same way. So like Tiki or the Three Houses trio, we now have another 3 bracelets you can play with. Those are Hector from Fire Emblem on the GBA, Fire Emblem 7, Fire Emblem Blazing Blade, whichever you want to call it. He's from the game that Lynn is from. We also got Camilla, who is from Fire Emblem Fates. She's I'll give you two reasons why she was chosen to be one of the emblem bracelets.
Oh,
yeah,
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But she's a very popular character. Let's say that. And then they
a lot
added
of pillows out there.
Yeah. Sickos. Camilla's fine, and she
just
adds
downloaded the wallpaper.
I'm sure he did. And then the last one from this wave is Soren, who is from Ike's games, the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Two Fire Emblem games I have not played. The ones on the GameCube and the Wii. I'd like to someday, but that was just not my proclivity at the time, was to play those.
Just when you thought you're out.
Yeah, so I played the level for Hector and I played the level for Soren. I haven't gotten to Camilla's chapter yet. They are difficult. They're interesting battles. If you're going to play this on hard mode or maddening mode or classic, you probably might struggle. It's rough. It's a rough time, but they have some cool extra things with them. I'm getting to the point though. There's too many rings. There's too many emblems.
Yep.
You can the campaign is only going to let you use up to 14 people at a time. There's now more than 14 emblem rings, so you're getting to a point where like I'm going to leave Marth off the team. That's weird. Why would I do that? But you got to make some hard choices now. Anyway. More content. It's good. They showed off what the other ones are going to be for the next waves, and we'll talk about that in the direct.
Cool.
But I did. I finished Fire Emblem Engage. I had a fantastic time with the combat, with the gameplay. All that stuff was great. I enjoyed the Somnial more than I thought I was going to. Certainly more than the Monastery. We've talked about that before. That story doesn't get better. It tries to do some twist turn stuff. Just it's not very good. Very good. I think it's got a couple of decently well-rounded characters and a lot of kind of one-note characters that I still love. I love their 2-dimensional cardboard cutout faces, but they are not full characters. But it's fine. It's a fantastic game. I absolutely love it, and I'm quote unquote done. But we'll see. I could totally see myself playing more and grinding out more things with that. But for now, once I finish the Camilla chapter, I think I'm going to just kind of put the game down and take a break, play some other things, and come back to that probably when they put out that third wave of DLC.
There you go.
Next, awesome. Also talking about the Nintendo Direct, and we don't have to cover it too much in the Direct because there isn't too much to say, but that they showed off that Sea of Stars game, which is the kind of top-down pixel art RPG.
Isn't that the same people that make The Messenger?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I think that's their next game.
Yeah, Johnny, you look that up over.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
It's a prequel.
This game's a prequel?
Yep. To what?
Prequel to The Messenger?
Yep.
Really?
It's very weird. It's a very weird thing.
That's what the summary of it says.
Yeah, I seem to remember something like that. It's a prequel, like Callisto Protocol was somehow connected to PUBG until it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, they put out a demo for that game. It's today from the Direct. That game is coming out sometime this year, but there is a demo. They put it out, and I played through that. It's a pretty short demo. You see,
it looks cool.
It's got a fantastic aesthetic to it. It really is gorgeous. It's amazing pixel art, really nice animations. Art style is cool. Music is great. It's got so much going for it from an aesthetic standpoint. Johnny, do you have something to say?
It comes out August 29th, according to their website.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it all that much. The combat has some neat ideas to it. It is taking a Chrono Trigger like style where there are combo attacks. There are I like the way that you have kind of your mana points, your magic points, and then if you do normal attacks, you will gain back magic points so you can continue doing big cool stuff. It's got a Paper Mario style context sensitive, hit the button at the right time to do a little bit of extra damage or to block a little incoming damage. When you do that, you get some points towards your combo meter, and when your combo meter fills up, it can fill up to 3 pips. You can spend those pips on the big combo attacks that are separate from your magic skill attacks. I think that's great. There are 4 damage types. There's a sharp or a blade damage. There's a blunt damage. There's a sun damage and a moon damage. And 2 of your characters seem to have all 4 of those things, like 2 and 2. And then in this demo, you have a 3rd character who kind of is none of those things. He's kind of a tanky guy who can also heal.
He's the warrior cook.
There we go.
Yeah, I guess so. He seems like a comic relief guy, but he's in there. It's got some cool things. I'll tell you, there was a moment that I shouted, "Motherfucking video games!" out loud into my empty house. It was amazing. There's the girl has an attack called the Moonerang, where she throws this kind of moon thing at the enemies, and then they bounce back, and you have to use the Paper Mario context sensitive things to deflect the boomerang again, and then it goes and hits another enemy, and then comes back to you, and it starts going a little bit faster each time. So you're just playing this Pong game with the enemies to do more and more damage, and it was so good, and it started to go so fast, and I was having a great time, and then the rest of the game just kind of falls apart. It's now again, this is a demo. It's really early. The writing is so. It's not that it's bad. It's that it's not coherent in a lot of ways. There are sentences that I read 3 or 4 times and went, I don't know what they're trying to convey. I don't want to say it. It feels like somebody who's writing is English as a second language or something. But there was just some parts where I'm reading this and I go, I don't know what you're conveying here. And to make matters worse, there's a group of pirates that you talk to that also talk in some kind of accenty way that makes it even worse. Or like, I absolutely have no idea what you guys are talking about at this point. And this sentence just makes no sense no matter how you slice it. And the parts that I did understand, I didn't think were all that good. But it's got some ideas to it. And I'd be interested to see where this game shows up in August when it comes out fully. They do say, hey, we're working on this thing. Nothing in here is necessarily final, so maybe it'll get a script pass and maybe it'll feel better. It also doesn't have a map so far. That might also be a demo thing, but there's no map that you can just easily access. And what they do in the demo is they take you from one quick area that kind of shows you what an environmental puzzle in the world would look like. And then they immediately go to black, and then they go, hey, you made it to town, and let's jump further in the story. And that's when you're talking to pirates in a town, and the pirates tell you to go somewhere, but you don't know where to go. Like, you're in the middle of a town. I don't know how I got into this town. I don't know where to go to leave. You go to a bunch of different places, and there are guards who go, oh, this place isn't part of the demo. You need to go somewhere else. But the town is relatively large, so you're just kind of walking around, bumping into things until I finally ended up finding the way out. And then I got to the one dungeon that they want you to do. And it's an okay dungeon. It's got a little puzzly element to it that's kind of neat. And then you fight a boss fight that was much too spongy and just took so much damage, and it was given me some Octopath flashbacks of God, this guy's taken so many hits, and I don't feel like I'm understanding some mechanic that it's doing. It would change forms, so some things that were strong to it are now weak to it, and
sure.
It was okay. I wasn't having the best time. But man, it's a looker. It looks so good, and the animations are just so nice. I want to keep rooting for this game. I did put it on my wish list. It's something I'm going to keep an eye on, but I was a little disappointed just from the demo. It's really short. I would encourage people to go and try it and see if they feel differently. But I was a little disappointed after I finished it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a check for sure.
Yep.
Nice, man.
And then Johnny, you weren't here last week, as we've established, but it was a preview, which meant we got to spin that wheel. And the game it came up on was The Last Guardian, which I was pretty jazzed about. Yeah. That's a great pick.
And
so I played a good portion of Last Guardian. I think that game fucking rules.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm pissed at myself for not having played it back in the day. I bought it back in the day. I just should have. I should have put it in.
How long is it? It didn't come out that long ago, right? Oh, it's 2016. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a PS4 game. Yeah.
Shit. I thought it was more recent than that. I haven't played it either.
So I love Shadow of the Colossus, one of my favorite games of all time. And I tried going backwards and playing Eco, and I didn't really love Eco. I struggled with that. I got to a point where I was just like, I don't want to play this anymore. This isn't that fun. And the stuff I was seeing pre-release of Last Guardian felt like some stuff. It felt more like Eco to me. That it's another one of those escort games.
Yep. Like
Eco, where I'm just gonna have to hold the hand of this thing, but instead of a girl, it's a giant Trico monster. Dog, griffin, bird, lion, whatever the fuck. And it is that. It absolutely is that. But goddamn, I just love it. It's those guys know how to make a game where you feel for the thing that you're with. Whether it's the horse from Shadow of the Colossus or it's this giant creature. It controls similarly to Shadow of the Colossus in that it doesn't feel very good. It's not a snappy feeling game.
Yeah. I played a little bit of this on my sister's PlayStation, and it has that same very like floaty, like, am I even pushing a joystick right now kind of feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's floaty. It's heavy. It's got a lot of momentum to everything that you're doing. And I remember people bitching about it when it came out, but the creature doesn't always listen to your commands, and it kind of takes me back into the Hey You Pikachu days on the N64. Oh, I'm just yelling at this little yellow fucker to do something, and it just looks at me. And Trico is very similar, and I'm like, hey, you should come over here so I can climb up you and get to this higher place. And it's like, what do you want? What are you talking about? What you want me? I'm sorry, are you talking to me? I'm like, yeah, you're the only one here. What the fuck? But that, I mean, it's frustrating, but there's also something endearing that this is an animal. Of course, it's not listening to your every command. Sure. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. Like you have to fudge it a little bit. You have to be patient. You have to have some finesse in there, and I've caught myself. I feel like I talk to this game more than any other game. We're like, oh, come on, Trico, just come over here, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Come on. Like I'm treating the game like it was an animal.
God.
And it makes you feel in a way. I think I'm over halfway through. Because there's also some poor signposting the game has/doesn't have, and so there have been a couple times where I'm like, I don't need to struggle around here. Just find a guide, tell me what to do next, and I've done that a couple of times. For the most part, it's been fine. So I can see that I'm definitely over halfway. There are some really amazing cinematic moments in that game,
I'm sure.
that make you feel all sorts of things, and I love that fucking dog thing, Griffin, whatever. He's my best friend, and I want to protect him with all my heart. So I can't wait to finish that game. I'm looking forward to writing something about this. It's great. I'm just so angry that I didn't play this when it first came out.
You're making me more mad at myself that I didn't play it myself.
Yeah. Anyway, that's basically all I got. I played another thing, but I don't want to talk about it because it's going to be something that I talk about next week when we do our deep dive. So
very cool.
Look forward to that.
Chase talked about 1-Bit Rush. He talked about that Sea of Stars demo. He talked about the DLC and completing Fire Emblem Engage. Congratulations. And his pick from February, which is the backlog of The Last Guardian. I have done something dumb, and I do this
podcast with us. Yes, we know.
You did.
I do this. I started playing a game called Industries of Titan. This came out of early access on January 31st. It is made and developed. It is published and developed by Brace Yourself Games of the Cadence of Hyrule and Crypt of the Necrodancer fame. This is a city builder that has automation and workforce establishment in it. It's set in the ruins of a civilization on Titan, which is a moon of Saturn. And it's got some really fascinating, albeit dense, systems at play that I have not experienced a game that mixes things up like this one does. And I am way, way, way into this game. The city building.
If you were to describe this game's energy, how would you describe it, Bobby?
Dark synthwave underneath a dystopian regime.
I was going to say Big Bobby, but yeah, yours works too.
It's got very Big Bobby energy.
It's got the juice.
It's got the fucking juice.
I do love the name. It's a fantastic name.
Yes.
It's such a good play on words. I'm very happy about that.
So essentially, you're doing a lot of the things you'd expect from a city builder. You are going to be building out varying degrees of resource miners. You're going to have military in it. This game combines a lot. There's some tower defense elements to it. There is the city building element to it. There's a really expansive tech tree that you get to fuck around with. I think it's got some 4X energy on the way that you're interacting with people that are like, this is your military person. This is your money person. And what you're doing is you're building out your city, but for each one of these buildings you build, you can go into it and then build what looks like a circuit board of processing power. So it could be, I'm going to take this mineral into this item and take that item to a level 2 of that item. You have to make people want to come to your planet and essentially like buy them with your credit. It's a gorgeous game. It's got a great look to it.
Oh yeah.
There is a constant timer going down on wave-based attacks. So you're building up turrets and you actually get to build your own ships that will float above your city and act as like deterrents to the oncoming waves of rebels. Johnny, you absolutely need to play this game.
I know. I have it downloaded.
There is Bobby had me go through a quick look. That quick look's not up quite yet, is it?
It'll be next week.
But when Bobby went inside of one of the buildings, and I realized that, wait a minute, you put a city builder in your city builder.
Yes.
It gave me a very gut reaction, like a Patrick's Parabox did of, oh God, oh no, why would you do something like that? But it also just seems perfect for Bobby. I mean, it's got. I mean, you said it looks nice, and it does, but it's got like a cyberpunk aesthetic. There's a lot of cool neon light stuff that goes around. It is a cool looking thing. It's absolutely not something I want to play, but it is aesthetically something I just love looking at. I would love to see like a screensaver of a fully built out city and just have that's it looks great.
It's great. I really like Brace Yourself. This has a fantastic soundtrack to it also. No surprise there. I think if I ever had like a solo streaming in the upcoming weeks, I probably would fire that one up and fuck around there for an hour or so.
If you're the type of gamer who played SteamWorld, the SteamWorld build demo and went, I don't know, it seems a little simplistic. Maybe you should play this instead.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's on
game.
the exact opposite end of the spectrum of these kinds of games for that. It's neat. It's cool.
That was Industry of Titan. I did not go over the price. I believe it's $29.99. It came out of early access. It was there for a really long period. It's cool. Definitely check that one out. And as one game leaves early access, another one emerges into it, and that is Inculinati, which has hit early access effective January 31st. This is made by Yaza Games. It is $24.99. This game has big Pentiment energy, but if Pentiment was a turn-based battle, run-based game, it's a roguelike.
Yeah.
We have recorded a quick look for it. We've streamed the demo of this at one point in time. We had plans to stream this, but actually the last time we played it was at a Next Fest, and that's currently happening right now. So we streamed a lot of those games on Monday. I really like what this game is doing. It's very clever. It's witty. It's got some pretty deep mechanics for as simple as it seems it's going to be with 3 to 4 people out there at a time. I love the art. I love the art of Pentiment as well. This game is way more pick up and put down, like in short bursts, than what like a long session Pentiment would be. I really dig the character styles of the teams that you can build and what you can recruit. I think they're a lot of fun. And the strategy seems pretty smart because not only are you moving these characters per turn, but you are a person drawing this battle, can interact by nudging people off of ledges or smashing people with your finger. It's really fucking clever how they've done that. There is a challenge. I think that you are going to have to be a bit strategic on placement and what your life looks like on here. You can earn ink back in a battle that you use to draw new characters, and they have a set amount of ink that they require. You can mix and match your team when you're building them. You can recruit people in. You're getting an in-game currency that you can use to buy upgrades and shit like that on your runs. It's just really neat. Like I dig this a whole lot. We are going to stream this one eventually, and we have a quick look going up next week for it. But
now, Johnny, the real reason that Bobby digs this game is that there's a lettuce hands Yoda who is your tutorial guy.
It's very true. And Chase,
okay.
Did you see them? Did you see the lettuce hands? No, we stopped before they could interact and like touch.
Oh no.
So that's the other thing. They've done some like FMV-esque stuff.
Yeah.
And one is like real people's hands. And when you fight that guy, his actual lettuce salad fingers come across, and like it looks like, have you ever ate at Long John Silver's?
Yeah.
You know, like the shape of their fish and like the way it looks.
Uh-huh.
Imagine that, but green, and that's what they like slide across the screen to move stuff.
Yeah, it's just like two kelpy rods coming out of his robes. It's
very good.
Yeah, but like imagine Yoda drawn in the Pentiment style.
Yes,
with just these fucking kelp hands.
Yes,
like that.
Ink you must. And they're like, oh fuck this.
This is on Game Pass. So if you are on that service, it's definitely worth checking out. I think $25 is a fair price for what this game is. You can get a supporter bundle that gets you some in-game currency. That's currently on sale for $33.23 on Steam right now. But we'll be playing more of this, and we got a quick look. It's really slick. It's a very clever game here, for sure. And then I did something I haven't done for a while. I still have a deep fascination for mobile gaming, even though I'm not nearly as active in it. And every now and again, you come across something that really is just so smart and well designed for that platform. And there's 2 games I checked out this week. The first being the Devolver Tumble Time. This is a very free-to-play game. It's made by, it's either No Papo or No Popo, and then published by Devolver on mobile. It's only on iOS and Android. This is a really interesting match 3 physics-based puzzle. So it takes place in a tumbler, a circular tumbler. It's got an awesome art style to it, and it's a really cool celebration of a lot of the characters that Devolver has put out. So you've got, I think it's Rob from Hotline Miami that wears the chicken mask. He's in it. You've got Shadow Warrior, the characters from Shadow Warrior. You've got characters from Downwell. There's a lot of cool characters that you're unlocking in the game that all have power-ups that you can activate if you connect enough of that character's icon on the puzzle. It is one that has a daily challenge on it. It's got a weekly challenge, and then it's got just a series of levels that you're progressing through on varying degrees of completion. But there's a whole bomb system that you get in this as well. So if you connect enough of one character, it becomes a standard bomb. And there's a variety of bombs that you can use that will do things like give you more time or double your points. You can go into a fever mode. It's a very cool puzzle game. The only thing I want to call out that I'm having a hard time with is if you do not buy into the game for $3, it has a health system where you'll deplete hearts each time you play, and then it puts you on a cooldown, or you can pay to go back into it. That's $3 to never run out of hearts. So I just went ahead and paid it because I don't want to deal with that mechanic. But it does the thing where it's like, oh, you didn't beat this level, but if you watch this ad or if you use an in-game currency, we'll give you 10 more seconds. Yeah. So,
dude,
I know it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing, and I get it. They're trying to monetize it, and they even like tongue in cheek in the Devolver fashion talk about that. But if this was just like a pay $5, own this game, have a really cool puzzler that you can unlock stuff with, that's the other piece. There's tiers to the characters that you're unlocking. So all the way up to like S++++, if you can upgrade them. And it gives you like, hey, if you're this tier, this character has a chance to start the game off with a bomb already out there. Little things like that. It is a very well designed puzzle game. It's got the free to play trappings, which I've put a lot of time into it. It's like the perfect in between life little thing to grab and go with. So that's the Devolver Tumble Time. I don't think there's any plans to bring it anywhere else besides mobile. So let me know what you think. If you check it out, it's pretty damn cool.
I will.
And then one other game that I checked out is a game that is called Madness Endless. This game rules. I'm just going to come out right away and tell you that this game is fucking awesome.
Okay.
This is a $4 game. It is made by Anthony Romano, and it's got a Darkest Dungeon aesthetic to the look of it.
Yeah.
But this is it is a stealth, and it's not really a turn-based, but it kind of feels like that in a way. You are you have a joystick that only allows you to move slowly on the perimeter wall of what you're in. And you can flick your character and kind of slingshot it in a way that's Angry Birds-esque. You can hold it and get like a trajectory point. And if you tap the screen while you're mid-move, it like goes into a bullet time and you can relay to another direction. What's cool is you're dealing with like vision coned enemies, and you have to, if you go in the cone, it wipes you. So you have to like figure out the tactics of attacking these moving enemies. And like there's even one where they're carrying like a big brick wall on their back as armor, but you can get stuck to it. So like I can move to that and then let them walk up and do other shit. The mechanics in this are perfect. And what I really like is at the end of each level, it shows you all the swipes you made, which I think is really cool. Like it does one of those kind of like breakdowns of your moves. You guys should check this one out. It's got some really clever stuff that makes great use of a touch display, and the story seems pretty compelling so far. It's kind of gross and a Binding of Isaac.
A real gunky kind of look to it.
I like on one of these images that I'm looking up here, it just looks like a gross human centipede kind of thing.
Yep.
Like, yeah, right.
It's not spooky. It's not like a horror game that I've encountered. It's just a very uncomfortable game.
Yeah.
Like in that aesthetic. But it's got really good reviews from what I can see for like being a mobile only. I think it's really, really cool. I don't know if Game Jolt is the developer. I don't know if that's them or if
I'm not sure. Publisher maybe.
Potentially, yeah. But this is worth checking out. It's $4. There's nothing else in it that's asking for money from what I've seen, and it's very cool.
So I decided to check out what else Anthony Romano has made.
Yeah,
at least on the App Store. He has a kitchen scale app that hasn't been updated in 5 years.
Hey, we all start somewhere.
Yeah. And then he has a dashboard for HomeKit. So
natural progression is what you're saying.
Yeah. So I wonder.
Look, the pandemic was hard on all of us.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see like kitchen scale, gross.
Yeah.
Looking.
Yeah. No, I see the trajectory.
I know, Chase, you've got that iPad Mini. Johnny, you've now got a new iPad. I think this would be a really cool game to play on the iPad. I mean, it's great on the phone, but I think that would be a cool spot to check it out for sure.
Absolutely. Cool.
So, Johnny, outside of shitting your pants at Disney, what have you been up to?
Oh my God. I remember I made a resolution this year to play more horror video games or make a genuine attempt to get into horror games. And the one that I've been looking...
You want to shit your pants in different environments.
He's shitting his pants constantly.
Exactly. From the comfort of my home. Chase.
Yeah, sure.
Not in a... not... Anyway. So Dead Space is a video game that came out in 2008, and they released a remake of that game. It came out 2 weeks yet? Thereabouts?
Almost.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago. Playing on the PC. I know, Bobby, you said you talked about it last week. And I'm about 6 hours in. I think I'm chapter 5 or 6. And I am, Chase, like you, I am kicking myself for not sticking with that original version of the game. Because I love this game so much. It is everything that I was hoping Callisto Protocol would be, and more.
I think Callisto Protocol was hoping that it was this too.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
isn't it weird how close those two games came out?
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some devs from the original Dead Space who are working on Callisto.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah,
I think it was.
It just seems to be so close in release dates and to have such a separate amount of response from people. Yeah,
and with Callisto, like it was like people were getting hyped for it, and it looked like, oh, this looks like it could be really cool. And then I played a few hours of it, and I can tell you,
it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
The 3 hours I spent with that game, the tension, the atmosphere, everything that I felt within the first 10 minutes of Dead Space, like I got nowhere near that with Callisto. I don't think Callisto is necessarily a bad game. It's just not what I was hoping it would be.
But how many turbines are in Dead Space for you to crush yourself in a myriad of...
I haven't been crushed by a turbine. I have slowed down a turbine using, or a big fan rather, using the stasis move.
Sure, 2008 gaming at its finest.
Exactly. And yeah, like that, despite, originally releasing in 2008, this obviously has some quality of life stuff. It has some things that were featured in Dead Space 2 and 3.
Isaac can talk now.
Isaac talks.
He got
he's a fully voiced character.
Differently designed too. Apparently.
Yeah. And it is just, man, this may be my favorite thing I played this year so far.
It's very good.
It's so fucking good. Like it the bravo to was this Motive?
Mm-hmm.
EA Motive. Like they just absolutely nailed it. Like you can tell how much reverence they have for the original version of the game. There's even a skin, like an outfit you can get for Isaac that makes him look how he did in that 2008 version of the game.
Like the same resolution, like is okay.
It's kind of like how in Mario Odyssey you'd have the Mario 64 costume.
Sure.
And it just looked out of place.
Yeah. Good.
But the combat, the way that they introduce you to the new weapons, and you have an encounter that is designed in a way to like teach you, like, hey, this is how you should use this weapon, or these are the scenarios in which this will be useful. The one of the things that I'd heard, like one of the most horrifying things about this game that I heard from my cousin who's a huge advocate for this game, it's one of his favorites ever, was like when you're in a vacuum and a monster would attack you. And so every time I entered a segment where I was like walking in a place where there's like, if I'm in a vacuum, there's no sound, like it's just, you're hearing Isaac's heartbeat basically. It wasn't until like the 5th or 6th time that happened that I actually had an encounter, and it was so good. I think my favorite weapon is the Ripper.
It's very good.
Yeah, and the other thing,
what does the Ripper do?
It has basically if you hold the trigger, it has a saw blade that spins around in front of you.
Okay.
If you hit the right bumper, it spits it out, and it becomes like a long range projectile. And all of like Isaac being an engineer, doing engineering tasks, using engineering tools in a way to
so that was something we mentioned last week, is that it's a much different tone than Leon S. Kennedy carrying a pistol or Jill finding a grenade launcher. Like to have these industrial tools that weren't meant for this.
But I'm just out here trying to survive. I'm trying to get the Ishimura up and running again. I'm trying to find my girlfriend.
And having the enemies designed in such a way where their limbs need to be cut off. I feel like when they figured that part out, somebody at EA went, "Oh, that's what this game is." And I don't love the horror element stuff of it, but I can absolutely respect the design ethos behind the loop of how we take these kinds of weapons. Like this is your horizontal cutter and this is your vertical cutter, and you need to know to switch between modes or switch weapons to be able to go between those things to cut off these different limbs. Just also the idea that, and we have so many zombie games and zombie lore out there where you just aim for the head, and this game goes no, actually that's not going to help you at all. You
chop off those limbs, buddy.
Yeah, totally. You need to completely de-limb and incapacitate these things before you can fully finish them. I think that's a really neat idea. And it's why I've always respected Dead Space, even though I don't want to play it.
It's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, like managing, like especially if you're trying to do crowd control, because Isaac is relatively squishy. Like figuring, okay, I need to cut this one down in size. I need to run over here. Because there's like, it's just, I never, like, it is tense, and it's definitely like has those moments of like, oh, this is real bad, but I never feel like it's entirely out of my control because of the tools that are given to me. And if I just face the encounter in the right way, like I can get out of it. Like it's never.
There's still no UI, right? Like all of it is on Isaac himself, and like the guns have the weapons have the ammo counters and things on them.
The one thing that we said last week, Johnny, and we've talked about this in our little messaging, is you never, for being this engineer, you feel very much like you are equally as a threat to the things that you are encountering. And I think that helps cowards like you and I approach this game, because even though things are bad, and even though traditionally we don't jive well with these types of things, the the gamification of killing enemies, the upgrade trees of like making it feel safe multiple times throughout it, the plethora of weapons they give you to get comfortable with versus like if I only have a pistol, I'm only using a pistol in a very like I need to get headshots or like try to slow them down. Here they give you it's like playing with your food. They give you all the stuff that you can use essentially to like tinker around with these things and fuck them to where you feel powerful and competent in a way that like other horror games limit you to make you feel like you're not. You can always craft new ammo. You don't have to rely on finding it. You can easily keep another weapon in rotation. There's plenty of things to keep you safe in a world that wants to kill you.
The stasis ability, so you can grab items and throw them at enemies. It's a really well crafted game that I'm absolutely enamored with it. I also checked out that new Freelancer mode that dropped in Hitman 3.
Yes.
A week or so ago. And you guys know I'm the resident Hitman fan here. And basically what this did is this update combined all the maps from 1 and 2 and put it all in one neat little package. So it was a bit of a mess when it first launched in was it 2021, I think? Like in terms of like, hey, if you bought it because it was an Epic Games exclusive at first, but if you own the games on Steam, then you could import your maps, but you had to do it through this website, and it was a mess. So now if you buy Hitman 3, it's just called Hitman World of Assassination. You have all the maps there, and then also this new Freelancer mode, which is kind of everything's a roguelite these days, right? It has some of those elements. So basically, it's taking a random assortment of different maps and assigning you a random character, like NPC, from that level that you need to assassinate. And there are different objectives that they'll have you do, like, hey, poison this person, or never get spotted, or kill 3 guards using an SMG, and that will yield you cash that you can then use to buy weapons from a shopkeeper that's in every level that you go to. There's also a secret stash that you find where you can pick 1 of 3 items that have been smuggled in for you, and it really makes you approach the levels in ways that are very different than like if you're just playing through the story.
Yeah, I mean, you can play those levels 100 times in a few specific ways, and so you know the level inside and out. That's always been the Hitman thing. Is once you learn these levels, you kind of live in them. And now the game is going, okay, we're going to reward you for that knowledge by giving you these different ways of playing. So when they give you, some challenges like, hey, dunk this guy in water, and you go, well, on this map, Jesus, that's going to be really difficult. Like, there's only really one spot to do that with. And so you don't have to finish all the challenges, right? You can just you can fail some, you can just choose to not do some, but as long as you get in there and you get a little bit, you get some of the currency.
Which I like, because some of them, like the way it works is you have your home base and you have all these different rooms that you're unlocking as your mastery progresses. Any items you pick up in the level come back with you, and you can store them in
it's Tarkov is what you're saying. It's a Tarkov game.
Yes. Because if you die, like, you lose all the shit you had with you. It's gone. And then before you start, after you pick your assignment, pick your mission, there is another, like, there's a supply crate there. You get to pick 1 of 3 items that are randomly generated. And if you fail, so if if the target runs away, or if you get shot, that escalates the next. Like, you don't fail all of it full stop, because there's 3 missions per campaign. And if you fail the first time, you come back, 47's all patched up, because you got shot.
Nice.
But everything is heightened. on the next mission you go out
Sure.
on. So there'll be more security, or people will be more alert. Like it makes it more difficult for you to get through to the final stage. And I've made it one time to the final
I've
showdown.
heard it's hard.
And it's really tough. It's like, especially like some of those Hitman 2 maps, like I am not super familiar with. And the way it breaks it down is like, okay, your target is a woman, middle-aged, she has gray hair, she's wearing like, it doesn't tell you who it is. Like normally you can use the Hitman vision and it's like a bright red outline, like, hey, this is the person you need to kill. Here you have to use context clues to figure out who the target is.
Okay.
And hope that you get it right. And I did, like I figured out who it was, but there was another assassin in the level and I got spotted, and they
Is that another player, or is that an NPC?
Yeah, it's someone else like hunting you basically. Because there's level in the club level in the story of 3, like it's a scenario like that.
Okay.
And I got him. I took him out, but I did not make it to the mission exit before I got gunned down. It's really cool. I think, Bobby, if we can figure out our latency woes, I think that it would be a fun thing to play on a Friday at some point.
Figure it out,
Mr.
IT.
So,
you streamed was it Hitman 3 you streamed before? And that was a fun time. That was you
Johnny,
streaming, not Bobby, but
it wasn't coming to me. I think that was what was different.
But the point is, watching people play Hitman is fun, and if we can figure out a way to do that, I think that would be cool.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely figure it out. This is something I see myself coming back and trying a run of this, once every couple weeks or something.
Sure.
You know what I want to try a run of?
What?
Hades
the news.
2.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I'll play some 80s too.
Hell yeah.
When it's come out.
Yeah. So that brings us to the news, I suppose.
It wasn't a very eventful week.
It wasn't. Nothing.
Not much happened.
No, not at all.
Guys, battle royales. You know them. You love them. But
I don't
know. This is wild.
Yeah. In the last, was it week, 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me just run through this list here.
Sure.
Rumbleverse, which came out less than a year ago.
Yep.
Knockout City, which came out, I think it was going to reach its second year this year, maybe. Crossfire X, which came out a couple years ago, I think.
No, that came out.
Or was that last year?
Last year.
Yeah. It was one of the only Xbox exclusive games last year.
Right.
Going away. Apex Mobile are all shutting down.
There's also, it's not out, but they scrapped. There was a mobile battlefield that I think was a BR focused battlefield as well.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
They said that and Apex in the same statement are not happening.
Yeah. So it, I don't know if I've voiced this on the podcast or not, but I've been kind of waiting for this battle royale bubble to burst, because there have definitely been others that have shut down over the years that don't have the same that staying power as your PUBGs, your Fortnites, your Warzones. And it seems like maybe we've hit a point where we're gonna see less and less. Maybe it's like what happened with MMOs.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. We had that period where people would go and try the new hot MMO for 2 weeks. They try Conan the Barbarian or whatever the fuck, and then they go, okay, well, that was something, and then let's go back to WoW. Mm-hmm. And then the new thing would happen, and that would just happen all the time. And I don't know where these battle royale people are going. Are they just going back to what is it like what are the ones here? Is it 4? Is it Fortnite, Apex, Call of Duty, and PUBG?
Yeah, that's really the ones that have been here. I mean, Apex is is one of the newer ones in that category, and
even that came out 5 years ago this year.
Yeah, and I think that's. I don't know if any of these are growing. I mean, I'm sure they are, but I don't know at what rate. Like, are there new
they
players
just have their audience? And, like a
but
Warframe.
We've seen how capitalism works. You can't just have your audience. You have to keep growing, or you're failing. That is how every business feels like they need to be these days. So I'm sure they're continuing to bring in users, and Fortnite is always bringing in some new cross promotion thing to keep bringing in people, or even stripping things out of the game to bring in people.
I feel like you're gonna see that Simpsons meme of Homer going into the bushes. It'll be Homer going in as a BR and coming out as an extraction shooter. Yep. And I think that's kind of what's happening. I also think that the like same thing can be said around the Vampire Survivor. Like there's just a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone coming with those
until someone finds a new thing. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like Destiny's one of the only still like just kind of straight up PvP like popular ones out there right now. Like, there's, I guess I wouldn't look at like an Overwatch or anything like that. Like, that's more of like a character, objective shooter. Like, I look at Destiny's Deathmatch or like those types of things, and I think like what we grew up playing for when I thought of like online multiplayer games.
Halo Infinite.
Yeah, if you still enjoy that season from a few years ago, that's a hell of a game for you.
Shit.
Yeah. Anyway, it's weird to see. I don't feel, and I don't know if these
there's
smaller...
still a lot of people playing Call of Duty multiplayer.
Yeah,
but
I think that these. I don't think that these smaller studios should. And I don't know how to say this. Like,
I mean, if it hits, it hits. But I mean, even for some of these things, if it hits for a certain amount of time, that's enough. If it can keep the food going on the table, that's what you need. But it is very difficult when you feel. I feel like I see this with people trying to make that same kind of Destiny thing. What if we made some kind of looter shooter thing that is, this live service game? Like, you're dumping a ton of resources. Like, honestly, even Bungie isn't that good at making these kinds of games. The hubris of we're gonna make a live service game. I think that's a lot of work, and people put a ton of resources in these things. And sometimes they hit, and sometimes they're Anthem. Like, you got, man, a lot of these places are just taking a huge bath on a lot of these things. And it's a similar thing with VR to me. It's like, man, I know we need to try making new games. Like, we should always be innovating in some way, but
it's
sometimes these things just feel like bad bets.
When do you call it?
No kidding. Yeah. Well, I wish all those dudes and studios luck.
Absolutely.
Like, they tried something that didn't work out. Do your best. Bounce back.
Iron Galaxy, who made Rumbleverse, they've been pretty clear. Like, no one's losing their job or anything like that. I think that was a very calculated move. I wonder what sort of agreement they had with Epic, because it was only on Epic. Like, they could have maybe tried releasing on Steam to see if that breathed new life.
I bet the reason they were on Epic is because you get Epic to kick you some dollars to make the math work as long as it did. Like, it would probably, I mean, again, I don't know the business, I don't know the deals, but I imagine if it was only on Epic that you're getting some sort of deal that keeps the lights on there, keeps it profitable enough, and then when the numbers don't show, or maybe even Epic was saying, hey, we're not getting the traffic on this that we wanted, then you go, okay, well, I guess we'll pull the plug.
Time to sunset this.
But they are, as you mentioned, they are a relatively smartly run company in that they've budgeted out the idea that we're not just going to staff up a bunch of people, and if this game goes under, then we have to fire everybody. They have a better
sustainable business model. Yeah,
slightly more sustainable than the house of cards that most game developers seem to be.
Yeah. That news there, and then we got a Nintendo Direct today. And we always play the game, will this Nintendo Direct be disappointing or will it be amazing? And
will it break Twitter?
Or will it break Twitter? I think we got some pretty cool stuff today.
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot.
And I think just the amount, I think people are going to remember the good stuff and forget the bad stuff, or just the boring stuff. And overall, I think this is going to end up being a pretty well remembered show because of just all the stuff they showed. So again, as Bobby mentioned, we're not gonna go thing for thing here. There's just no time for all that.
Yeah. So they opened with Pikmin 4. I didn't get to see the trailer for this. I did. Chase, did you watch it?
Mm-hmm.
How's it look?
I didn't see a timer anywhere. I can't remember when they got rid of the timer in Pikmin. I haven't played a Pikmin game. I've played Tinykin. Is it anything like Tinykin?
Yes.
But it looks like, I wouldn't call it necessarily an open world, but it looks like more of a large area that you're running around with your different Pikmin. There's new Pikmin. There's an ice Pikmin now that you can toss into water. And if you toss enough of them into the water, it freezes. So then you can traverse through that stuff.
Okay.
You can also throw them on enemies to eventually freeze enemies. The biggest thing seems to be there is a... if anybody's played Yoshi's Island, there is a Poochie style dog that is now like it's not a Pikmin, but it is like a big companion compared to your Pikmin, that can stun enemies or push and pull enemies or carry your Pikmin through water. It seems like that's the big new mechanic, is that you just have this silly dog thing that is that's going to follow you around and help you out with your Pikmin mechanics. I mean, it looks good. Looks like Pikmin.
I'm excited. I adore that first game. I somehow never played 2 and 3.
I never played the first one because I just don't like timers in games, and I think they might have gotten rid of it in 2, and I think I have a copy of 2 somewhere on the GameCube and just never ended up playing it either. But I should someday. I like the idea of Pikmin.
Yeah.
Did they give a date for this?
July 21st. Okay. So,
which I thought was weird, is like 40 minutes and almost all of it's going to be in the first half of 2023, and the first thing they show is 7th month. I'm like, that's not the first half. Okay. And some of these things were also definitely the later half of the year, but there's a demo out today, or you can pre-order it today. So I guess it's news for the first half of 2023, kinda. What's next, Johnny?
Splatoon 3 is they showed off the expansion pass for that coming out this spring. We got a teaser for a new story set in an area that was all black and white.
Yeah, so, it was aesthetic as hell. That was cool. So
I assume like you'll be painting that area. We'll see. And finally, they announced the date for Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, and it's coming out April 21st.
That gives us too much time to start another fucking war, Johnny.
That's true.
You gotta just put that game out now before anybody can bomb anybody else more. God damn it.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I've played a decent bit of the GBA version on my Analog Pocket, and I like it a whole bunch. And I'm definitely eager to check this reboot out on the Switch when it comes out.
I've been holding myself from playing the old GBA versions because I've been waiting for this thing, and I've been waiting for a while.
Yeah,
so I'm excited
just to get a taste, like.
Sure.
Speaking of the GBA, we also got Game Boy and GBA games dropped today through Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass, I think is the name of that.
Yep.
GBA
is only for the expansion pass. Yes. The Game Boy stuff is on both.
And they released a decent collection of games today. More coming later.
Was it a decent collection of games?
It was a collection of games.
It was a collection of games.
And yeah, that's cool. Chase and I joked we should just throw our analog pockets away at this point because
I didn't put it in the what you've been playing, but I did play some Super Mario 2 or Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. I'm not going to throw my analog pocket away. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It plays.
I can play the DX version of that game on my pocket.
You can play kind of the DX version here. I mean, they have a
Game Boy Color filter.
They have a Game Boy filter that looks like the pea green. They have a Game Boy Pocket filter that is like a sharper black and white look. It's not. It looks like it does on a Pocket, and then they do have a Game Boy Color one that puts the Game Boy Color palette on all of them. It's not quite like playing the DX hack that you have, but it is like if you put Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins into a Game Boy Color, it gives that palette to it. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. They also have a couple of features where you can just make it look worse if you want. It's the options they have. One of them is it was something like recreate the classic look or something, and it just dims the screen to fuck.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, okay, great. This looks absolutely worse. Okay. And then they're like, hey, do you want it to be shittier? Because now you can make it an even smaller screen. Like, why would I want it to be a smaller square? It's already square. Just make the square as big as possible. And like, what if it was smaller though? Like, fuck off.
Is this the precursor to bringing the worm light back?
Sure. If you want to put a fucking worm light on your Nintendo Switch to slightly see the dingy, dim Game Boy filter we added to this,
that's
you
so
can make
stupid.
them look clean. You can make them look super clean, and they're clean by default. But when you go into the options, I was dumbfounded with here are 2 extra options to make these games look noticeably worse.
That's
weird. It's so weird.
Wow.
Metroid fans, rejoice. Metroid. I mean,
Metroid fans, be slightly appeased while we still don't give you the thing you really want.
Yeah. So I tried Metroid Prime back in the day on my GameCube. I really hated the way that it controlled using the C stick for moving the reticle around on the screen. So much so that I quit playing it because I can't stand this. It
was not the traditional Halo style look with one stick, walk with the other. Yeah.
So Metroid Prime Remastered is out today, and they said that they fixed the controls. So I think
both options are in there.
Yes. Knowing that it can control like a proper shooter, makes me feel more enticed to pick this one up. I think it's
30. I think it was 30.
It was 40.
30 or 40. I'll look it up.
Okay. And they closed out the show with
40.
With a game I wasn't sure would be there today. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, coming in at 70 big boys.
They didn't mention that during the show.
No, they did not.
I will say that the trailer they showed was pretty good. It was probably the most gameplay we've seen of this. Yep. Like actual, here's what the fucking game is. Here's what you do as Link. And that stuff looked pretty cool. They showed off a new amiibo with Link doing the shining finger. So
probably gonna buy that amiibo. And it looks like I need to scrub through the trailer again, but it looks like you may be building your own vehicles.
That's what I'm thinking.
To traverse around Hyrule.
I couldn't tell if they were doing like a Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts thing.
That was my first thought.
There was just here is a cart, here is a flying thing. I mean, you're definitely controlling vehicles. I just don't know if you're actually building them.
It's just the way that they're constructed gave off that vibe, right? Like this is a bunch of pieces that I have put together to make a thing that I can ride around this landscape or fly through the air with.
Yeah, it definitely had that look. One thing to mention, though, I mean, yes, it is $70 if you go to try to pre-order that game now. But if you do want to potentially save that money, if you have that another year of the expansion pass, you can purchase that the vouchers, the 2 vouchers for $100. and you get 2 games, and Tears of the Kingdom is on that list. So if you buy that and you bought Advance Wars, you're saving yourself $30 total.
Actually,
so
I may just do that.
That's exactly what I did today.
I believe it. That
Both of
sounds
those
like a thing you would do.
I bought both those games with the vouchers and feel good about it.
Yeah.
But
So you can still kind of get the game at $50 if you want. But yeah.
But then you feel bad because you bought some stuff on your Switch. Right?
That's true. He did.
I mean,
he did feel very bad about that.
I don't have to look at it for a few months, so I'll be okay.
A couple other things I want to mention from the Direct. They weren't like the big things, but a couple things that I saw. There's a new Tron game from Bithell Games, the maker of Mike Bithell, the maker of Thomas Was Alone and Volume and the John Wick Hex game.
Yes.
So I like Tron. I like Tron stuff. I like story based games. I like Bithell's work. Volume's a game I've wanted to play for a while. So yeah, I was pretty excited by that. We talked about the Fire Emblem Engage DLC earlier, but they did show off what the other waves are going to be after this one. So Wave 3 has another 2 emblems in there. It is Crom and Robin as a pair, like Ephraim and Erica from Sacred Stone. So they are paired in a single thing. So that could be cool. And then the other one is Veronica, who is from Fire Emblem Heroes. And in fact, they showed off her power, and it looks like her power is to summon other guys. Like it seems like she's gonna summon emblems to just fight on your behalf, which seems kind of cool. Like it seemed like she summoned Ike to just show up on the field and actually battle as a specific unit himself. So that seems pretty interesting. And then they showed off, I think it's Wave 4, I believe, is when they're going to have a new story chunk. And I don't know if there's going to be a new character in there, but there is at least a new story with new stuff. That I don't think they announced timing for any of that stuff. But we did get the 3 other emblems today that we talked about earlier. So
that's rad.
Let's see. The Octopath Traveler 2 has a demo that's out today, so you can go test that out. I'm gonna test it out.
I hope it's good.
It needs to be good if I'm gonna play it, but I'll give it a shot. They announced a new Fantasy Life. I don't know if either of you guys played Fantasy Life on the 3DS. That was a cool RPG that you could do a lot of things. You didn't have to do combat in that game at all. You could just be a woodcutter, or you could cook. And so you'd go out and you'd fish, and then you could have like your fishing talent, and then you could. It was kind of like MMO, single player MMO, where you're just going out and doing all these jobs and becoming a better thing. But you could also be a hero class and go out and fight enemies too. So they're making a second one of that. It's called Fantasy Life: The Girl Who Steals Time, and it sounds like you'll go between different time periods using some time travel and play around with that. It seems kind of interesting. They showed off the next wave for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Deluxe, whatever the fuck.
Did I see that they added a new character?
New character? Well, I mean, Birdo has been in Mario Kart before, but not this Mario Kart. So it is a new character for this Mario Kart. But yeah, Birdo's in there. And also there is a brand new Yoshi's Island themed track that's going to be part of this next wave. So awesome. It looks awesome. It's got a lot of very nice Yoshi's Island touches to it. I'm very excited to get in there and see what it's like. So that one was pretty cool to me.
Oh yeah.
And then a new Professor Layton game got teased. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. So it sounds like the SteamWorld Dig guys are probably working on that. That's not true, but man, if only.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. If Valve came in and like, yeah, hey guys, it's the New World of Steam featuring Professor Layton. That's what we got for you. Yeah, I thought it was a good show, all things considered. There was some kind of weak stuff there early. There were a couple neat things too, like Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective is getting a remake on Switch. People really liked that. I believe it was a DS game, and then it got a mobile port that I don't know if people loved the mobile port, but it's getting an HD up-res remaster thing. That's a game I've always wanted to try. I don't know, lots of neat stuff.
That's cool, man. Like, I know this was kind of heavily rumored, and there was some thoughts of what it may or may not have. I know there's the Metroid Prime fan base has been put through hell, so I'm happy they have something today. I'm very surprised we got anything for Zelda, as it was called out earlier. I just kind of figured we wouldn't see much until like a proper Tears of the Kingdom Direct.
Like,
but
yeah, Zelda Direct.
Yeah. And then I'm really excited for Advanced Wars. Like, I've not put a lot of time in ever with that. There's been games that I think Wargroove was one that I checked out that I thought, was that the one that was like trying to be that game?
Yep.
But I'm excited for Advanced Wars. I want to check that out, and we'll see what they do. Like, I think that we all knew that there was some bigger stuff coming. It seems like they're really sticking to their kind of DLC ongoing packs and shit for other games in their catalog, which is smart. I am really curious what the back half of this year, and more importantly next year, might look like for Nintendo. And I'm very curious, like, what they are working on for the rest of this year, if the rumored next gen hardware for them comes out in 2024. I can't imagine a lot of their big hitters making appearances in the back half of this year. So very curious to see what they end up doing past this. And this is a really big kind of cards on the table moment for them in 2023. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting Zelda now, and if you're really hankering for Zelda, Minish Cap is on the GBA service on Switch Online plus Expansion Pass, and then they also showed off. So they kind of teased more of the games that would show up on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance service. And Link's Awakening is currently on the Game Boy one. I thought that was weird. It's Link's Awakening DX, which is the Game Boy Color version. I was like, okay, that's cool, but there's a Link's Awakening that's already on the Switch. It's kind of weird that you'd pick that one. But the Oracle games are going to come soon. They showed off those specifically. They also showed off Pokemon trading card game, which I'm fucking jazzed about. That's a great game. But yeah, like there's other Zelda stuff coming. I wonder if maybe like next year we might see something Mario, because we haven't had like a Mario game since Bowser's Fury, right?
Yeah. I think Mario makes the most sense at this point for them.
Yeah.
I don't think we see a new Mario Kart for some time, if at all. Like, I
mean, this expansion pass is going. The deluxe booster course pack is going throughout this year, so I think you certainly won't see anything until next year at the earliest, but maybe not even then. I bet they can just coast until a new console at this point with all the stuff this one has.
I also got to call out, like, I'm very interested how they're going to handle non-mainline Pokemon games, because they've tried a few different things now with Let's Go and then Arceus. I think Arceus was far more successful than Let's Go. I know they did a remake of
sales wise. I have no idea, but at least critically, I think a lot of people dug.
What was the remake
Arceus
that they did of
Shining Pearl and
So they've got a few different variations that they've done between Sword and Shield and now Scarlet Violet. I'm really curious, like, if they are going to be like, oh, here's a brand new take on this, or this is the style we're going for. Like, here's another Let's Go, or here's another Legends series. Hard to say. But
because both of those games, both of those series were popular enough to warrant a sequel. Yeah. So it's weird that we haven't seen a Let's Go Gold and Silver style game.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think they'd put out a black and white remake anytime super soon, but that would be the next one on the table generation wise for getting a remake. And then
if anybody's
I
listening,
liked Legends, but I feel like Legends is going to take a lot more time to develop a second one of those than like a Let's Go would.
Can you just make a Pokemon game in the same style as Hi-Fi Rush? Like, can you just make it look that way?
I mean, could you just make a game that looks like Let's Go but plays better? And also, I could just play with a controller and not have to use the fucking Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I just want a cel-shaded Pokemon game really bad.
Be cool.
I think that'd be cool. All right, Johnny, we've got one more story here.
Yeah,
it's a fun one.
Oh my god!
Not for one person.
Yeah,
one person's probably not having that much fun.
Billy Mitchell, hot sauce connoisseur,
gamer of the century, or millennium. I can't remember which one he is.
I don't know. It doesn't
80s
matter.
bad guy.
That guy's a chode. He has been accused of cheating yet again. In a new photograph, allegedly proves that Mitchell did not use original hardware when he was it Donkey Kong?
I don't know which game he was playing, but it is that he was using a different kind of joystick. He was using an 8-way joystick instead of a 4-way. That would allow him, by using an 8-way, you'd be able to, use the corners, northwest, southeast, that kind of stuff, and you could do some things that original hardware would not allow you to do in the game, because you could do 2 directions at one time.
What a mad lad that Billy Mitchell.
So I mean, it's Twin Galaxies allows for emulated versions. Like they have a whole list of, hey, if you want to emulate this game, we have a whole leaderboard for people to emulate it. You could do that. He could just submit it to that, but he wants the real record. And I mean, we should say there's an ongoing lawsuit right now of Billy Mitchell suing Twin Galaxies for like a defamation thing that because I guess because Guinness allowed him to have his records again dubiously, and so he's used that to say, well, this record keeping company says my records are legit. Why won't you? And Twin Galaxies is out there is like, because we care in a way that Guinness doesn't. Guinness is out for fucking money, and I mean, I guess they're probably also in it for some money, but like I think they are just the record keeper for video games, so they care about the records for games more than Guinness would. I don't know. It's all seems like a fucking mess, but Billy Mitchell doing it again.
Your friend and ours. What a jerk. All right.
He's absolutely a jerk, but he's also just an amazing creature.
Yeah. He's a great heel. Thank you both for taking us through that Nintendo Direct and some other news stories. We had a lot of cool games this week. There's some really great stuff to go and check out. 1-Bit Rush that Chase mentioned. I really think that new Devolver Tumble game is awesome. Johnny had some really cool things to share about the new
the freelance stuff. And Hitman sounds really neat.
And cool. We got to talk about some cool demos that were out there and some DLC that dropped today for the Switch. So if you're a Switch owner, it's a lot to be excited about. And then we've got some cool stuff that we've been doing outside of the show tonight. Monday night, Chase and I got together and played even more demos with the Steam Next Fest. And I think we're going to do that again next week. I've already got a few more pulled aside for him to check out that I think will be fun. I really like those streams. We just do kind of a first impression of a handful of demos. That
like 10 to 15 minutes per game. It's real chill, but we get to see a bunch of stuff. And I don't think we mentioned it on Monday, but we should mention it now. If you're looking through Steam Next Fest stuff, these developers live and die by wish lists. So if there's something that you think looks cool or you play the demo of and you're even somewhat interested, throw it on a wish list. It doesn't cost you anything to do, and it can help them show up in better search results so other people can discover those things.
I'm pissed we missed that.
It's the best way to support these developers without having to pay a dime.
That's a great call out. Good reminder. we also, speaking of the Switch,
it also doesn't cost you anything to rate and subscribe to us. You should do that too.
Yes. Also, we like to know how bad we are. Chase and I did a quick look for 007 GoldenEye. It made its dive into, I say this lovingly, modern consoles with a Nintendo Switch, and then also with the Xbox.
Right off the dam.
We did a quick look on the cloud version, which is how you can play that on PC, and that is up on our YouTube channel, which if you wanted to follow along with all that stuff, you could do so by going to the link in chat, which is there, not working. Cool. And then also we had our show tonight, our 311 sponsored episode 311, where we told you about the Nintendo Direct. Thursday, a game that we have streamed called Power Chord, we got a quick look for, and that's a really fun deck builder roguelike game. And then Johnny and I are dusting off an old favorite here at the Casual Hour, which is Deep Rock Galactic, where we're going to be going into some rock and stone before their March 5-year anniversary of launching on early access, which is crazy to think about. So we're going to play it this Friday, but next month when we do it, there's going to be a variant that you can play the originally submitted early access version of that game and see what it used to be when it first came out. So they're going to put that as a play style for everybody to celebrate, and they've got a new supporter pack DLC and some other game modes coming out to really kick off that. So we'll do that stream next month as well. But Deep Rock Galactic is always a really good time. Come watch Johnny and I dance with some mead and kill some bugs. Chase, you are a video game enthusiast. You're also a podcast enthusiast, apparently. What have you been up to?
True. I'm also a television enthusiast, which is why I have a new podcast. I guess it's not new anymore. There's 5 episodes. That's just a podcast now. It's not a new podcast. You're in syndication. Yeah. No, 95 more episodes to go, and then we'll get into syndication. So I have a podcast. It's called Pilot Program. I do it with our good friend Pierce Corshane, and we watch the first episodes of various television shows. This last episode we've put out is on In Living Color, and pretty happy with that episode. Came out. We've announced our next one. It's going to be on Blue Blazes, also called Oehono. Blue Blazes is easier to search though, so just look for that. It's a Japanese show, if you couldn't tell, and it's a Japanese live action show. It's one of my favorite shows. It's very fun. Johnny, you might enjoy it. It has a character who is playing Hideaki Anno, who is the maker of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and the actor plays him as silly and ridiculous as Anno is in real life. So it's a cool show. People should check that out. But we'll be watching it for Pilot Program and telling you all about it. So if you want to watch it and then follow along with us, you can. Check that out on my link tree, which is not going to work on the thing. But hey, search for Pilot Program in iTunes and you'll find us. We're there. We got a black and yellow icon, so just look for that.
Very cool. Johnny, you've been to Disney shitting yourself.
Almost shitting myself.
Have you read any books?
I did. I finished reading book 3 of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson while I was down there. And it is one of my favorite fantasy novels ever. Reading book 4 right now.
What was your favorite ride at Disney?
Rise of the Resistance.
Where he had wet slippers in the bathroom.
Yeah, yes. that was a quick ride.
Rise of the Resistance. It's not even close. So
nice.
Very cool.
Oh, I've also been reading one of my resolutions was to read all of Three Kingdoms. I didn't finish it, but I am approaching finishing the first book of 2. So it's almost 700 pages read and another 700 to go.
I don't think either one of you would appreciate this, but Sarah has a Kindle and she really likes it for reading. So
yeah, I read on my iPad all the time. I have gone. I used to have to have a physical book, have to smell them pages, and now I went, I can read in the fucking dark. This is great. Fuck that. Fuck books.
Yeah,
I just need this.
She really loves it, and I think there's an app that lets her get some of the stuff from our library on it as well.
Sure.
So that's pretty
nice.
Cool. Anyway,
very cool.
For all you book nerds out there, my wife who's better than anybody else I've talked to, says the Kindle's the thing to get. All right.
I think you're a little biased, but okay.
A little bit. We'll be back on Friday with Deep Rock Galactic. We'll see y'all then. Take care.
Bye.